I had been in Annapolis many years ago, but this time the film festival gave me the perfect chance to explore this beautiful city known as the sailing capital of the US and home to the US Naval Academy. My host, Julie Breed, made this visit very special, and if you listen to her story, you will understand why.
I feel very honored to work at NASA with so many brilliant people. I mean, they are so smart. The beauty of it is not one person could go to space. It takes hundreds of people with different skills all working together, and that's the human achievement. I was fascinated by space when I was in high school and never thought I'd get this job. When I first started at NASA, it was mostly men, and now women are about half of the workforce. I think 4 of the 5 scientific leadership positions are women. You know, if it's a woman who's good at science or engineering, that's unusual to begin with, but they also have these multitasking skills. They have good people skills. They're able to get difficult personalities to work together, and it's very much, I think that's something that women excel at. This picture is such an exciting moment. We won a competitive opportunity with NASA to fly this instrument called NICER. And as it turns out, all 3 of us are named Julie. So I'm a creative at NASA, and my job is to develop and win in competitions new science missions. The most exciting one coming up is called Da Vinci, and that's a probe that will go to Venus. And I'm so proud of that and cannot wait to see it fly. We need to understand Venus because it's our sister planet. It's the same size as Earth, and it's right next door to us. Why is Earth so bountiful and with all this life? And why is Venus that hot? It has this sulfuric atmosphere that the light doesn't get in, and it holds all the heat. How did Venus become that way? Does this tell us something about our past? Does it tell us about the future? What can we learn from Venus?
So let's talk about art then.
Art, yes. Art makes me happy. Art is my escape. I have a wonderful book by Winston Churchill. It's called Painting as a Pastime. And he says if you're stressed, don't just think you're going to sit and relax and feel better. You have to use a different part of your brain. And that's what art is for me. Art just relaxes me. But mostly I get frustrated because it's not as good as I want it to be. When I get retired and I have more time, then I will do art. But at NASA, as an engineer, I have always gravitated to the creative side of the job. Earlier in the life cycle where there's uncertainty, most engineers hate that. But I like a challenge, figuring out a puzzle, solving a problem. This is my best girlfriend at work at NASA, and we accidentally showed up wearing exactly the same thing one day. This is Madeline in her Audrey Hepburn look. We did a mother-daughter trip to Paris for 10 days, and that was like the pinnacle of my life. It was magic. If you know Khalil Gibran, what he wrote on children, your children are not your children. They come from the future and they will lead you. I learned so much from her. She's light years ahead of me. She's independent, she's warm, she's loving, she's confident. But I think her generation, they have boundaries and they don't allow themselves to be taken advantage. I can see such a change from my mother's generation to mine and to hers. We accepted our place in society as a servant almost, in my mother's time. My generation is breaking free of it. My daughter's generation never had that. She is free and she is equal, and it's beautiful to watch.
Is she working?
Yes, so she's able to work from wherever she is. So her job is based in Chicago, but it's online. So somehow she manages to get her 8-hour day in. She gets promoted and then she's on the beach. Today she went from Costa Rica to Mexico City, and she just arrived in Mexico City for another month, making friends everywhere she goes. Adventures. She is, as they said when she got into college, comfortable being uncomfortable. She has courage. This is what the house looked like when I bought it. I thought I would renovate it quickly, but I couldn't afford to. So I lived in this tiny, tiny little house for 30 years. And only now, after I paid for college and my daughter is grown, now I could afford to put on an addition and make it beautiful. But we would joke, it was the smallest, ugliest house in Annapolis, but in the best location with great neighbors, and we were happy. That was the one thing I was missing in the tiny house. I couldn't see the yard. And now we can be one with nature. And I planted this willow tree. It was as big as my finger 30 years ago. This is my mother and my father. Gratitude, my mother gave me this. It turns what we have into enough. And my father, at my grandmother's funeral, he said, and it stuck with me, the richest person is not the person who has the most, it's the person who needs the least. And that is how I try to live. And instead, I feel so rich and so blessed. I volunteered with this program and I just fell in love with my kid. She was 12 years old and then she got kicked out of the program. So they told me, I'll give you a different kid. And I said, I don't want a different kid. I want my kid. So I became freelance and we're just best friends. She calls me her godmother and she's got a beautiful future. Her name is Malia and his name is James. And they met each other maybe 6 months ago and they're very good for each other. They're both so smart and very spiritual. And they just got into a program that is teaching them landscaping.
It's the landscaping cohort at the Maryland Reentry Resource Center. So we're actually in paid training right now and we're learning all about the trees and how to plant them. We're gonna ground today, actually. Grounding is you just take off your shoes and your socks and you just connect your feet with the soil around you while we're gonna watch the eclipse.
Oh, super. Oh, I'm so glad you're getting there today. This Albanian chicken soup, it tastes like my grandmother's chicken and dumplings. So it must be something with Hungary and Albania. Are they close together? Do they share some cuisine? I don't know. This is outstanding. I came from the best family. This is my mom. She came from Lithuania when she was 16. She was an immigrant. And my grandfather came from Hungary at about the same age, and they met each other and didn't speak English and fell in love. They had one son, little Jackie, who is my father, who's this tall, and they poured all their love out to him. And then he and my mother poured their love to the world. My grandmother could just see something and create it, and she crocheted these fine linens. I guess she learned how to do that in Lithuania. So she and my grandfather raised my dad, were able to send him to college, which was a big deal. And then he passed it on. He was the most loving man and he was gay. And at the time that he was a teenager, a young man, that was not okay to be gay. So he made the choice to get married and he wanted children. And he was an amazing father and he was married to my mother for 33 years. And right about when I got married and was out of the house, they agreed to go their separate ways and he came out as gay. Both of them were amazing in how much love and acceptance that they had. My mother supported him and was just hurt that he hadn't told her earlier and that he had struggled for all these years to be loyal and to be faithful and to give up a big part of himself. And then he met his partner Troy and they were together for 23 years. Troy became good friends with my mother, and yeah, that was another thing from my family, is just accept people for who they are. This was my father's Man of La Mancha, and he loved Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote, the story, and the song from the show, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, courage. And he would listen to that with tears coming down his face, and we didn't know why, but he was Don Quixote. He was strong, he was loyal. And now it breaks my heart to think of what he went through for us, because he was there for us and he couldn't be his true self. Yes, they were very great couple and content and excellent parents together. But I guess because he was gay, there was always something missing there. She would have stayed married forever. She was Catholic, but she ended up divorced, and that was hard, especially in that time, to be okay with that. But in the end, she mentored other women who were in difficult circumstances, and she said, you can be happy after divorce. You can go on. And she had a thing called the Triumphant Survivor, and that's the tattoo that I got to honor her. Her song was Walk Through the Storm, and it says Dance in the Rain. So be strong, whatever you're going through, survive, and be joyful. So my mother, June, took care of her children and numerous adopted children, then went back to work and became the director of volunteers at a hospital. And then when she finally retired, we said, Mother, you should relax now, do a knitting class, play cards. She didn't do any of that. She ended up becoming the association president for her condo, and she took care of the entire building. And even though she didn't have to and she didn't get paid, everyone would come to her door in the middle of the night because they lost their key or the lights weren't working, and she took care of everybody there too. So we did a tribute at that building because the world appreciated June Winkler. She took care of them all. So my mother had lung cancer. It went to her brain, and they said you have about a month left to live. She could have done treatments, but she was 85 and she was ready. She said, I've had a good life. So had the most beautiful month at home because she just savored everything, and she would sit on her balcony with the nature. And one day I came over and she said, I had the best day. I had a visitor for lunch. And I said, who visited you? It's the pandemic. Nobody's supposed to be here. She said, oh no, it was an eagle. He sat on the branch and watched me eat my lunch. And she was just so joyful. Her ashes are right back there. And this is how you'll know what a character she is. We have a bottle of scotch next to her. She loved her scotch. And even as she was dying, we'd give her a little drip of scotch. I was a single mother, and my neighbors and friends in Annapolis helped to take care of Madeline when she was little, and we just all help each other. We're lucky to have a place that is our friend and neighbor family, and I love these people. How do I say cheers in Albanian? Gëzuar. So I dressed up as RBG one year, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and there's a documentary about her. She was a strong, brilliant woman, an advocate for women's rights, and made a huge difference in this country. This is the sister of my great-grandmother, Julie's great-great-aunt Elizabeth. I don't know who she was, but she made this, and I think it's such a treasure. So then we framed it as a piece of history. So, talk about strong women. This was my grandmother, Genevieve Genovaitė in Lithuanian. She came here when she was 16, and as an immigrant, she never saw her mother again. And she had a full-time job. She worked with all men in this factory here. And she said she was the best one. The men didn't like her because she would show them up. And not only did she work full-time, cooked breakfast, lunch, dinner, and washed all of the clothes with this washboard because they did not have washing machines. When she left, all of her school friends wrote her these notes. Look at the beautiful handwriting. This is the garden in Lithuania. So I want to go to Lithuania one day and find this garden. My mother-in-law, Martha Breed, we have the same last name, and she is the mother of my heart, and she's 90 years old. and she lives in a nursing center down the street, and we see each other all the time. She had a boat named Brightside. Always look on the bright side, and that is how she lives. And I asked her if I could use the name for my house. So we live in the bright side. I brought you Albanian breakfast. It's called burek.
Brick?
Burek. So this is for Neta, and I was telling her all about you.
Oh, God.
And how you managed to be happy staying in this bed. So what's your secret to happiness? What have you learned in your 90 years?
About happiness?
Yes.
All right. Hello, Nasa. I am so happy you and Julie have met each other, for one thing. I have heard so many wonderful, exciting things about you, and I'm dying to meet you. And I will one day, I'm sure. I will be 91 next month, and I'm as astounded as anybody else is. But I can tell you is that each day is an experience. Yes, I have days when I feel like fighting heaven and earth, but that doesn't last long because I'm a happy person. That's all I can say. I am so grateful for every day I have because my feeling is I wonder what's going to happen today. And inevitably there is something that sort of slides in from the right or the left or wherever, and I start laughing and I think this is absolutely incredible. And it is so every single day, believe me, has its adventures. Now some of them make me feel like bringing up my strong, and I am very strong, my strong right arm and slapping them along the face. But I'm a lady and I can't do that.
So tell me, how did you like the Albanian food?
Ooh, it's a cross culture food, and it has everything about the Greek culture, and I will get to know your culture, and that's what makes it. Well, first of all, it's delicious and it's healthy.
Yep.
All right, bye, Nasa, and safe journeys, and keep going, girl. Drink it in, drink it in.
Annapolis is such a fascinating historic city. It's one of probably the oldest cities in the United States. If I didn't live here, I would just go to Europe because everything in the United States is new. But we were the original capital of the United States. George Washington resigned his commission here. We signed the Treaty of Paris here. So it's a very old city. And it's special because we have the Naval Academy here, 4,000 midshipmen. And one of the fun things as a local is you can tell the changing of the season by the midshipmen. So when I was younger and we all had a crush on the handsome Navy guys, there's a certain day in spring, you never know what day it's going to be, but they change from wearing their black uniforms to wearing their whites. And everybody says, "Oh, the mids are wearing their whites, it's spring today." And we can tell time every day in the morning at 8 o'clock. They play the national anthem and you hear it from my window. And at sunset, the trumpeter plays Day is Done. So you know this is the time of the sunset. So that just makes special magic in our city. My favorite place. This bookstore was modeled after Shakespeare and Company in Paris, which is where all of the English-speaking expats went during the war. But in Paris, they won't let you take pictures, and here we can take pictures. The same quote is in Paris, where it says, "Do not be inhospitable to strangers. They may be angels in disguise."